Who are these people?
Hi, everybody. Okay, that was weird.
Clearly your chips are designed in Israel that we put in your computer. Clearly you got Israel chips in
there. That was weird. I'll give everyone a few minutes to come back, but okay. Hopefully are we back on Rumble? They usually don't drop the stream. They're usually pretty good with that, but everyone else, we're fucked and we're starting over. So if you're on Kick, go back to Kick. If you're on YouTube, I just dropped a new YouTube link in the old YouTube stream chat. But yeah, my PC rebooted. It does that once in a while, which sucks, and I really am not happy about it.
I wish I knew what the issue was. If anyone knows what might be up with that,
we all do.
Get in touch.
We've
replaced a Mobo or replaced a power supply already. Yep. Thinking that was the problem.
I think I mentioned that we are already demonetized,
I don't know.
So I don't want to go through the whole thing about begging you for money one more time. I want to get to the next story, especially because this thing just rebooted on me. So I think a lot of people were fooled by this little tweet the other day. And I even got fooled by it. Share your screen. Of course. And I even got fooled by it.
Yeah. Then you can restart. Just go again.
God damn it.
You got fooled by this?
No.
I don't know.
The Discord app is hidden and I can't. I can't see the app. I have to do something else here.
Tab to it?
Well, no, what we're going to do is we're going to
hold Alt and Tab.
No. Alt and Tab. Yeah, that didn't work. No, see, that is not. Nope, I'm not seeing it anywhere on my board. I'm only seeing you in the camera, so I have to take this down. It must be behind here, because yeah, that's what it is. And
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know it'd be such a big deal.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, you are a big deal. You could have just fucking looked at the browser. Oh no!
I can't.
Fuck me, fuck balls. I just minimized everything because I hate Windows. Windows sucks ass. I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell just happened. All my windows.
You suck. More like it.
All my windows just disappeared. Hold on. I have to bring everything back.
Was it F12 you accidentally hit?
No, I didn't close it. Thankfully, it just. I don't know. I moved the thing to a certain spot on the. I hate this computer. I really do. I hate it. I want to throw it out the window. Okay. How about now? Does this work? The motherfucking computer.
Maybe you should. Maybe I'll throw it out the window for you.
No, maybe. Okay. Anyway. God. Let's start over again, everyone. Hi, everyone. Fuck the Intercept. But they're not taking money from USAID. Unfortunately. Not here. Not directly. And a lot of fucking people got fooled the other day. Including me, by the way. I got fooled on this shit.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because someone who put this up knew. They knew that we wanted this to be true and would have probably fallen for it. And a lot of us did. What am I talking about? God damn it. The whole thing got interrupted. I'm so pissed. Where is everyone? Come back, everyone. All right, we got 15 people coming back already.
Well, while you're interrupting yourself, you could share your screen.
Now I'm just not going to share it all night.
So I'm not 7 seconds. Okay.
Okay. Ken Klippenstein. Yay, we now know that Ken Klippenstein in 2023 made $208,000. Cool, but the one problem is he's not paid by corporate media. He's paid by First Look. And if somebody backed out and they looked at this thing, oh, they did. Very interesting. Here are the officers for Intercept Media, Inc. So what? But then there's a little link here. It says, see USAID grant flow. And whoever it is didn't look at all. obviously either that or they did and they didn't know what the hell they're doing or how to read these things, because what we learned is that this is a tangled web that ends up with the money being at the First Look Foundation, First Look Institute, all right, and Intercept Media gets 14 million of the 16 million of the grants that they were given. And oh yeah, by the way, none of that is considered a grant given. That's all considered a contribution from the First Look Institute to the Intercept Media. This is called money laundering, kids. All right. But what's happening here is that it is not a direct link from USAID or any of these organizations to into the Intercept or to the First Look Institute. What it showed was that there was about $1 million from about 9 different organizations that made it into 6 different layers above that all then pump money in, but all of those had washed it through to the point where they could show that zero in taxpayer funds went through, meaning that there is no USAID money directly linked here. They washed it.
Yeah.
All right.
Just extremely indirectly, if at all.
Even, our brother Hembo, we all wanted this to be true. We saw this, we're like, oh, look at this. But no, this just means that they were paid well, and not even really well, but well for DC area. It costs a lot of money to live in a nice apartment in the DC area. They are PMC. All right. And I said, I think that was just their salaries. But with most of us, it's
a good chunk of change.
It is. But when you're a prominent journalist working for one of the larger foundational, that's funded, a well-funded organization, you're going to do pretty well. Look, we know they were paying Glenn Greenwald $500,000 plus a year.
People can't see this, but because you're sharing your screen with me in your Opera GX corner over there, one of the games it's saying is the Griftlands, which is just hilarious.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Griftlands right underneath that thing.
Oh, it's 93% off too. Look at that.
Continue.
All right.
Yeah, 93% off Griftlands.
James Risen, also national security correspondent. He's also making $193,000. David Braylow, I believe he's their general counsel. He's the lawyer. He gets $322,000. Ryan Grimm, $379,000. He's one of the bosses. And Jeremy Scahill, and he barely works. He got $279,000. Unbelievable. So again, this is just
Applejack in the chat says so they did pay, but it was indirect. I'm not even sure they did that. Like if you count USAID giving money to what was the parent? The parent thing.
First Look Media
that even got
First Look
USAID
Institute?
Money.
They didn't get it.
Right.
No, it was like the Fidelity Charitable Giving Fund, all right, which is an anonymous donor fund that funnels out all kinds of money all over the place. So we are not really sure if it's directly that or not, and they figured out a way to basically wash it out so that you can't tell. All right?
Yeah.
And they can claim plausible deniability. But you have to go pretty damn far back in order to find something that has a red number. And anything that has a red number actually had taxpayer money in it. All right. Now, also keep in mind that all of this is coming from an organization called Data Republican.
Data Republican. Yeah.
Because Elon took over the entire, so this is all what was already on the public record and already downloaded and already for tax year 2023 and prior. This is nothing new. What we are doing is a forensic analysis here, which is a distraction. Look over here while we're doing shit over there. All right. Well, what shit are we doing over there? Here's another person saying USAID money went into a bunch of charitable funds and foundations that gave to other funds, and eventually some of it went to the Intercept. Everyone makes it seem like USAID was writing a check to them, but they weren't. So here, the Aspen Institute, we are very familiar with the Aspen Institute. They've gotten a total of $9 million in taxpayer money, of which $25,000 total of all of their money went to the Miami Foundation, of which 23,700 of all of this 46 million or $370 million went into $23,000 into First Look. It's like drop in the bucket to drop in the bucket to drop in the bucket, and it disappears in the bucket somewhere. It's the best way I could describe this. All right. The New York Community Trust, again, getting money from the Bessemer Giving Fund, but that was passed through somewhere else. And then they also got $40,000, $48,000 of taxpayer funds. None of this is enough to fund the Intercept for a year, by the way. None of it.
Yeah.
$18 million is. That's what about their budget was. 20 million plus whatever Omidyar decided to give. And he cut, starting in 2023, or maybe even in 24, they reorganized and he reduced the amount he was directly giving because they were going to be funneling more through these charitable foundations. I remember reading about that then. All right, so you've got, yeah, here, he got busted. Here's Kenny. He's incredibly mad about it. No, what they did was they set the left up because the left doesn't know how to read financial stuff. And the left is kind of gullible. And the left had a bunch of people tell them this is what this is. And they ran with it and went, yeah, because we wanted it to be true. And it's not really true. All right, it's called money laundering, like I said, so that the money that trickles down can't be linked directly to the original sources, but can be explained away through an intentional web of confused mess. That's how it shows zero in taxpayer funds, but the orgs above it in the pyramid certainly did get some. All right? And again, you back this up in the chain, and you start to see some of these institutions getting that money. But was it that money that funneled its way down? No. And that's where they start to confuse you and make your eyes glaze over, as Angel is saying now, who's already getting a headache about this. He's like, dude, like,
yeah,
people are like, I don't know what to do here. Now, I said everyone was running around laughing about the Intercept getting USAID money, but that wasn't the real thing. And they didn't, because at least none of that wasn't laundered clean first. They got fooled by the smokescreen, but here's the real propaganda influence media operation stripped bare for all to see. Internews network. All right. And WikiLeaks, we know them, all right, published yesterday. USAID has pushed nearly $500 million through a secretive, and it's not really secretive, U.S. government-financed NGO Internews network, which has worked with almost 4,300 media outlets, producing in 1 year almost 4,800 hours of broadcasts, reaching up to 778 million people and training over 9,000 journalists, according to them. They've also supported social media censorship initiatives. Go figure. Right? The operation claims offices in over 30 countries, including main offices in U.S., London, Paris, regional offices in Kyiv, Bangkok, and Nairobi. Interesting that they have an office in Africa. It's headed by Jean Bourgeot, who herself pays herself almost $500,000 a year. She worked out of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, go figure, during the early 90s when she was in charge of a $250 million budget and in other revolts or conflicts at critical times before formally rotating out 6 years later at USAID to this Internews, right? So her bio and those of its key other people have been recently scrubbed, but of course remain accessible at archive.org. You can thank the incident in December for executives scrubbing their bios off their websites. Now, records show that the board is chaired by Democrat Securocrat Richard Kessler and Simone Otis Cox, who is the wife of NVIDIA billionaire Trench Cox. Excuse me. Both major Democratic
Trench
donors.
Cox.
Yeah, That's a name.
Ew.
In 2023, supported by Hillary Clinton, Bourgeois launched a $10 million IN fund at the Clinton Global Initiative. The IN page showing a picture of Bourgeois with the CGI has also been deleted. I wonder if they're embarrassed about that picture. They have
Most
at least,
likely.
according again to WikiLeaks, IN has at least 6 captive subsidiaries under unrelated names, including one based out of the Cayman Islands, who apparently suffered an earthquake yesterday. Since 2008, when electronic records began, more than 95% of their budget has been supplied by the U.S. government. Now, I also don't know that that's actually factually correct, because their entire website even said who else they were getting funding from. And there is a large list of big money foundations and donors. All right. But this comes from their own website. All right. But I don't really like that there are no links. Now, this is what's funny enough, is somehow the address for the Internews network in California, funneling nearly $500 million through this building. Amazing. Right? It was clearly abandoned by December 2024, shot 4 months ago. All right. IN's funding has doubled since 2016, and that number of 472 million is since 2008. That is not in 1 year.
Okay.
That is in 17 years that we have been funding this flim-flam sham of a media propaganda outlet organization, and we have increased its funding.
Never heard of.
Correct.
I doubt anyone else has.
2016. Who was in office in 2017, 2018, 2019? I don't remember. Yeah, that was Trump.
Oh, was it? I was going to say. No.
All right. These are their officers and how much they compensate them. Here is the bio from the Wayback Machine. Again, where does Internews fit into the funding? Internews there, according to this, $93 million in the red of taxpayer funding of the $123 million that they total receive. They get another $30 million from other donors and another almost $5.5 million, $6 million from grants that are visible. Right, to make a total of 123, almost $124 million in gross receipts. And you can see that
I was tired of paying for weed.
That's a lot of weed, man. That's an awful lot of weed. And they're paying, and it doesn't show what's paying into it here, but they show that on their website. They also file disclosures, all right, ties to 7th Street Arcata address. All right, so that's in California. So that's showing the CEO. Oh, look where that is. The World Economic Forum.
WEF. Yay.
Now,
crazy Dutch bastard.
That 7th Street address, Arcata, California, that's this building right here. All right. She's linked directly to that building right here. Where was it? Right here. There's a tax filing, State of California, Statement of Nonprofit Corporation. CEO. That is their headquarters.
Way, Sydney?
No, that's where Wally's dentist lives.
Wally?
Not Wally.
What?
Nemo. That's right. I mixed my Pixar characters.
Nemo's dentist lived there. Got it.
42 Wallaby
His
Way.
dentist, Nemo's dentist.
That's right, Nemo's dentist. Well, the dentist where Nemo got trapped.
Man, this is spelled just like escape.
Right?
Escape. Anyway.
Right? So, this is a kind of a disgusting web. But, wait, there's more. Now.
There's more.
I don't always consider this account to be the most reliable ever. And I will say that and preface that before I start this statement. However, However, it appears in this case, USAID-funded Internews went from funding media organizations with George Soros to overthrowing governments in Eastern Europe to calling for advertising boycotts to censor free speech online. This is a textbook example of U.S. regime change tactics being redirected against domestic populism and American citizens. In the 1990s, Internews partnered with the Soros Foundation to fund media organizations in post-Soviet nations, playing a pivotal role in the color revolutions of the 2000s in Serbia, Georgia, and Ukraine. See Kit Clarenberg for more about that as well. During Georgia's Rose Revolution, Internews funded and trained journalists at Rustavi 2 TV, the leading channel driving the uprising. Quote, media was good at informing public about what was going on, and it had huge role in calling people onto the streets, said the former Internews director for Georgia, and not the state of Georgia, but the country. By 2003, thank you. By 2003 in Ukraine, Internews had conducted 220 media training programs, trained over 2,800 journalists in propaganda, and produced more than 220 television and 1,000 radio programs. Propaganda.
Because Putin's a madman.
It also funded Telekritika, an online outlet that played a central role in the 2004 Orange Revolution. And no, not the one about Donald Trump. After Brexit and Trump's election in 2016, Internews, now working with USAID-funded World Economic Forum, because we've given the World Economic Forum hundreds of millions of dollars over the last 2 decades as well, shifted its focus to pushing advertising boycotts to suppress online dissent. Now, that was allegedly on the WEF stuff, and I got to find the receipts, but I'm pretty sure the USAID gave them money too, a lot of it. This person says, what was once a U.S.-funded operation to overthrow foreign regimes is now being used to silence American citizens and dismantle Trump's populist MAGA movement. The price tag?
Yeah, okay.
USAID has funneled over $470 million in taxpayer dollars into Internews. Again, not really clear on the timeline, although this is clear on the timeline, and I can't really blow this up, unfortunately. These are like kind of magazines that show the timeline of Internews from their own website. Here is from an old website. Internews Network has been working in Ukraine since '93 to promote democracy by supporting the development of free, empowered, pluralistic mass media. Again, CIA infiltrated media, and this is back in the 90s. What?
Sure.
Back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s.
All right. Then
was on a famous TV show.
You've got, okay, so this is from their newsletter, their own timeline on their website. Then finally, you've got the thing about the 90s and how much they were awarded. And they also have 4 other names that they go by. All right. Then here she is pushing for the global advertising exclusion list. This is like what they tried to do to Rumble, so that they tried to go after all the advertisers that tried to advertise on Rumble.
Yes, this is the pause, because that's a exclusion list of advertising. They're fucking with your money. That's equivalent to all those problems with CBDCs and all that stuff, where we could just go, oh, you can't make money. No. You know? So you'll lose access to your bank accounts, all that stuff.
Yep.
So,
here, that's 28 seconds. Let's listen to this crazy person who's just somehow been given hundreds of millions of dollars by the federal government.
Disinformation makes money, and that's one of the, we need to follow that money, and we need to work with in particularly the global advertising industry, that a lot of those dollars go to pretty bad content. And so you can work really hard on exclusion lists or inclusion lists to sort of really try to focus ad dollars and challenge the global advertising industry all around the world to focus their ad dollars towards the good news and information, the accurate and relevant news and information.
Our news.
Disinformation.
The ones that we control.
Yes.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I need a Jimmy Dore fuck you, please.
Yep.
That seems to be appropriate here for that. Don't forget, as Marissa Hassan then jumps in and she's got
You go fuck yourself?
Marissa Hanson jumps in with a thread that, holy shit. Don't forget that also they were involved in Haiti in 2010 after the earthquake, and there was a ton of bullshit going on there, CIA and theft, all right? The Arab Spring. All right, so now we know that, again, that was a CIA infiltration, all right? And then also the Rose Revolution, which was mentioned, all right? Yeah, government corruption we've seen and the corruption we haven't seen yet. For sure. Okay, here is, by the way, Data Republican. You saw that they're the ones that put out that chart. Crazy how fast citizen journalism comes together. So this again, they're just. I got questions. It's all part of. Now remember.
Me too.
That this is an account that's part of a network also of.
Amazing how fast some journalists could all get their story straight on the same issue. Amazing how that would work.
Amazing.
What? Sorry?
But like I said, it doesn't stop there. All right. This is, it gets worse as Mike Benz. Yeah, not the biggest fan, but look, this is how this thing is breaking. And this is one of the things that I wanted to point out is this all feels like a very limited hangout. This all feels like Twitter Files 2.0.
Yes.
All right. This is coming out.
It don't make no motherfucking sense.
This is all coming out very partisan. It's all about what the Democrats are pushing and funding. Guess what? Republicans, number one, stood by and watched all this happen silently. Yeah. There's no way they didn't know all the shit was going on because they were being bought off too. Number one. All right. Number two, where's all the shit that the Republicans were doing? Because you know that they were doing shit too. Of course they were. This wasn't just a Democratic funded operation for decades. Correct. That's not how this works, pal.
Correct.
So we are basically leaking the side that is convenient to us and going to bury the side that's inconvenient while we're also going to delete your access to all the federal records that you ever had access to. And we're going to get to that part later. Holy shit. All right. Now, what this says is that I also said, Earthgiver, right? Not much visibility, but Internews is almost always tied to Catholic charities, which is also almost always tied to Save Our Children and the Kind Fund, which is also weird. All right. Then Catholic Charities of Fort Worth, which has over 200 million in tax dollars being funneled to it. All right.
Jesus is the bread.
Right. And that actually does make it from Internews funneled through these organizations. And again, Catholic Charities of Fort Worth takes in a ton of taxpayer money. Look at all that red back here. And this is how they funnel it and they wash it and they cleanse it so that most of this money does not show as government money ending up in
not
the
just
hands.
With holy water.
Right. How could it be that this organization here, and I can't, something, Foundation of Texas Inc., all right, I can't see what it says. It's a little too small. The company's Foundation of Texas Inc., right, they get a grant, they get something from an organization that's funded by millions of dollars. It's not much, but that's somehow washed through, and now they're giving it as, again, cleansed money here. This is called money laundering.
Yeah.
And it's being done through Catholic charities, Save Our Children, all right, benevolent sounding organizations that are anything but. Again, Internews
Save
Network,
Our Children.
$472 million.
Oh.
This is Marissa's original thread. $95 million to Internews? What do you mean? Okay.
Nothing to see here.
Worth noting that Bill and Melinda Gates also heavily fund Internews, and Susan Rice, former national security advisor to George W. Bush, Sat on the board of directors.
Mm.
She says, I know what goes on in these
Susan
places.
Rice, right?
Right? Here is
Any relation to Condi?
No. Oh, no, right. She worked for Condi worked for the Bushes. Susan Rice worked for Obama. She was the UN, I think, ambassador, or she might have been national security also. Interesting that Internews, how much they're listing and how much they're spending in each continent, lists out under media development here in East Asia, the Pacific, 6.5 million. In Europe, 2.5 million. Middle East, North Africa, 3.7 million. You can see all of that in their 2021 Schedule F Form 990 filing with the IRS. Public record. All right.
As it's been for a while.
President of Internews serves on the steering committee for WEF, which is also funded with USAID partially, but also with all the money from all the big corporations that are members of the WEF. All right. BLM protests, Me Too movement have shed light. Yeah, she is, using all the woke speak and the corpo speak.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations
a new world order. Yeah. All right. Internews receives significant funding from government entities such as the State Department, USAID, NED. All right. All of them. These orgs are known to support initiatives that align with U.S. foreign policy objectives. All right. Which has led to speculation and criticism regarding their role in media or influence. Yeah. They're certainly manipulating.
Yeah.
Can you read, my son?
Here is Atlantic's City Lab general manager, who's now the managing director of Digital Signal Group, board member. That's problematic. Here's a head of audience opinion and sub-brands at the New York Times.
About five heads of audience.
He is the head of audience.
The big old 5 head of audience.
Here she is at the CGI.
Not sorry.
All right. Journalists in Ukraine, very excited about funding journalists in Ukraine. We all know about them.
Turn the mic around.
And then it turns out that the building that they claim is their head office for this organization that's gotten hundreds of millions of dollars is this abandoned building. Yes. You can literally see the ladder inside, like it's under renovation. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean that that's what it looks like
not
today.
Not even. Yeah, but like it would. How often is California Google Street View updated?
December 2024.
December. Right.
Shot taken 4 months ago.
So,
according to WikiLeaks. All right.
And
what is this? Why the U.S. paid Karzai's top man? This was 2013. Josh Rogan. Again, I believe that he's got some intel connections, likely.
Yes.
Maybe, just maybe.
Yes.
Hey, look at that. Let's go back to here. That's our wall of fame. Those are the best people in the world. Those are the people we live. Because guess what? They support our network. Who are these people? Well, there's their names right there. Those are the ones that have actually contributed and tipped our channel and tipped our live streams and are trying to contribute to the media they want to see and funding the media they want to see. Because corporate media ain't telling you stuff like that. They're certainly not going to do a story about Internews and tell you all about their CEO, their funding, their links to USAID, NED, and other organizations. And I saw other threads about that Internews, and it's still breaking, by the way. This all just started to come out like in the last day or so. This whole US stuff happens that the news won't tell you. Well, this whole USAID thing is really kind of breaking, as they've now shut down access to most of the public record, and now you're left with whatever's trickling out and whatever was already available beforehand, which is not cool. And what we're going to talk, one of the things we're definitely going to talk about, but I also had in this week, you know, like I said, every week we kind of have been having to do a fuck Israel segment, and unfortunately, this is not a different week. So a couple of people I saw started to pick this story up yesterday, or starting last night and into today. I saw it on Friday when I was putting together the document for the show tonight, and I'm like, oh, this is going to have to be something we include. And I didn't think that a lot of people would actually catch it. This is out of an Israeli newsletter called 972 Magazine. And I don't subscribe to it normally, but someone shared it somewhere and it made it into my news feed. And that's kind of where I went with this. And I went, oh boy. So they're now finally admitting that they knew that dropping the bombs would gas anybody in the tunnels that were underneath. And of course, would kill all the people in the buildings above that they bombed. I don't think this is much of a surprise, but now you literally have an Israeli general on the record
saying what they said.
Right. So this is, again, just published the other day in 972. The Israeli army intensively bombarded residential areas in Gaza when it lacked intelligence on the exact location of Hamas commanders hiding underground, and intentionally weaponized toxic byproducts of bombs to suffocate militants in their tunnels, also hostages, but they don't want to say that. And that's what the investigation by 972 and Local Call can reveal. That's what they're allowed to reveal. They're proud of this. The investigation, based on conversations with 15 military intelligence and Shin Bet officers who've been involved with tunnel targeting operations since October 7th, exposes how this strategy aimed to compensate for the Army's inability to pinpoint targets in Hamas's subterranean tunnel network. When targeting senior commanders in the group, the Israeli military authorized the killing of triple-digit numbers of Palestinian civilians as collateral damage and maintained close real-time coordination with U.S. officials regarding the expected casualty figures. Now, I'm going to stop there for 1 second.
Yeah, we killed him, but trust us, this guy was horrid.
Abu Bakr Abed, journalist on the ground, said that, look, you can't necessarily believe anything that 972 and Haaretz say, because they're funded and representing of Zionists still. Even though they're telling the truth, they may be telling the truth, it's all told with a disgusting bias and slant. And they're sometimes trying to justify what they're saying, or they're proud of it. And it's not, it's the opposite of what we would want. But at least we're getting the information. Like they said here, some of the strikes, which are the deadliest in the war and often used American bombs, yes, we are responsible, are known to have killed Israeli hostages. Like I said, they killed Israelis, despite concerns raised ahead of time by military officers and the families of the hostages. Moreover, the lack of precise intelligence meant that in at least 3 major strikes, the Army dropped several 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs that killed scores of civilians, which we know they didn't care, part of a strategy known as tiling, without succeeding in killing the intended target. So they dropped all this stuff, and they didn't even get who they wanted to get. Oh well, no repercussions, no consequences. Quote, pinpointing a target inside a tunnel is hard, so you attack a wide radius. Yeah. That's what pussies do. Given that the Army would only have a vague approximation of the target's location, the source explained, this radius would be as large as tens and sometimes hundreds of meters, meaning these bombing operations collapsed multiple apartment buildings on their occupants without warning. Yeah, thanks, assholes. We saw the footage of that, the drone footage of that shit back in October, November of 2023.
Nazis. I hate these guys.
Max Blumenthal and the Gray Zone had somebody's drone footage that was just bone chilling. And he narrates it, and it's awful.
It's pretty bad.
Quote, suddenly you see how someone in the IDF really behaves when given the opportunity to wipe out an entire residential block, and they do it. The investigation also reveals...
Free Palestine.
Yeah, not them. The investigation also reveals how Israel has known for years that the use of bunker buster bombs releases the lethal gas carbon monoxide as a byproduct, which of course does kill people inside a tunnel through asphyxiation, even at a distance of hundreds of meters from the strike location. After discovering this by chance in 2017, the Army first tested it as a strategy in Gaza in 2021, these motherfuckers, and employed it in its efforts to kill Hamas commanders after October 7th. This way, the Army could attack
as well
targets.
as, by the way, flooding the tunnels with seawater and concrete. They did both. Like, they give two shits about those hostages. They do not care if they come back alive.
Nope.
They don't care.
Actually, they kind of prefer they don't, because then they can say whatever they want about what happened to them.
Yep.
All right.
So
this way, the Army could attack targets without knowing their precise location and without having to rely on direct hits. Yeah, they just wipe out everybody in the area. Drop a fucking massive bomb.
Yes.
You know, it's literally like
bunker
dropping
buster.
a bomb. Yes, a bunker buster on thousands of children.
Which,
like, they don't...
1,000-pound bombs, illegal to use, yet we're still going to give them to them. And not only that, but we also decided, well, 1,000 clearly isn't enough, even though it's already illegal. How about a 2,000-pound bomb? How about you take that too?
The Hague has access to this, you know.
Not good enough. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And here's this Brigadier General, Guy Hazut, all right? The only source willing to be named. All right? The gas stays underground and people suffocate. We realized we could effectively target anyone underground using the Air Force's bunker buster bombs, which, if they don't destroy the tunnel, release gases that kill anyone inside. The tunnel then becomes a death trap. Nice guy.
Yeah. Someone should go smell a backpack over there and see if it's, in
January,
see if it's poison.
A year ago, January, a spokesman for the Israeli army, after they'd already been murdering Palestinians daily for 4 months, told 972 in local call in response to a previous investigation that it has never used and does not currently use byproducts of bomb deployment to harm its targets. And there is no such technique in the IDF. Oh. Yet our new investigation reveals that the Air Force conducted physiochemical research on the effect of gas in enclosed spaces, and the military has deliberated over the method's ethical implications. So they knew it, they tested it, and they argued over whether they should use it, and then decided, fuck it, we're going to use it, while denying that they did it the whole time. But Israelis never lie. Just remember that. They never lie. 3 Israeli hostages, and this was the narrative, and this made me fucking crazy this week. I'll talk about this afterwards. But 3 Israeli hostages, Nick Bezier, Ron Sherman, and Elia Toledano, were definitively killed by asphyxiation as a result of a November 10th, 2023 bombing that targeted Ahmed Gandour, a Hamas brigade commander in northern Gaza. The army told their families that at the time of bombing, it was unaware that the hostages were being held near Gandour. However, 3 sources with knowledge of the strike, which was led by the Shin Bet, told 972 in local call there was ambiguous intelligence indicating that hostages might be in the vicinity, yet the attack was still authorized because it was a Hannibal. There was Hannibal Directive ordered anywhere possible. If you could take out Hamas in any way, shape, or form, it did not matter if there were hostages there or not. Take them out. And that's allegedly not the directive. The directive is to avoid Israeli soldiers being captured, but they we all know that they've twisted that interpretation to suit their needs whenever they felt like it. Again, according to 6 sources, this was not an isolated case, but one of dozens of Israeli airstrikes that likely endangered or killed hostages. Of course it is. They described how the military command green-lighted attacks on the homes of suspected kidnappers and the tunnels from which senior Hamas figures were directing the fighting. How did they know which tunnels they were in and not just send in people to go get them? Weird.
Well, they're very aware of tunnels. They know tunnels really well.
Secret tunnels. But that's under Brooklyn. That's not under Gaza.
Yeah, I love how no more investigations into those tunnels happened. I love how that you know.
Yeah. While attacks were aborted, while there was specific definitive intelligence indicating the presence of a hostage, the army routinely authorized strikes when the intelligence picture was murky and there was a general likelihood that hostages were present in the vicinity of a target. Well, mistakes definitely happened and we bombed hostages, one intelligence source said. At least they're willing to admit it. I hope they can sleep well at night. Actually, I hope they can't. Israel's efforts to maximize the chances of killing senior militants hiding underground also included attempts to crush parts of a tunnel network and trap the targets inside. Sources described incidents where vehicles fleeing an attack site were bombed without specific intelligence about who was inside, like the World Central Kitchen people, even when they had that intelligence, based on the assumption that a senior Hamas figure might be trying to escape. That was what they said about one of the... Was that Hind Rajab? Was that they said that one of the people in her ambulance was a Hamas person trying to escape? So they had to shoot her 355
Allegedly.
Times while she's crying for help?
That is correct. From a tank.
Quote, the entire region felt and
That
heard
they
the
could clearly...
Yep.
With that tank had optics that they could see, the hair on a fly if they needed to. They knew exactly what they were shooting at.
Yep.
But yes, continue.
Quote, the entire region and felt and heard the explosions. Abdel Hadi Okal, which is a Palestinian journalist from Jabalia, who witnessed several major Israeli bombing operations. Now, Jabalia, I believe, is in the West Bank, which is also right now getting destroyed and cleansed.
Destroyed. Right? That is correct.
Palestinians referred to
during
these bombing
ceasefire
operations as fire belts during the early weeks of the war. All right. Entire residential blocks were targeted with heavy missiles, causing buildings to collapse and fall on top of each other. Ambulances and civil defense vehicles were unable to contend with the scale of the bombardment, so people had to use their hands and some light equipment to pull bodies from the rubble of houses. There was no possibility for anyone to survive. Bunker busters, baby. That's what.
And now they're finding decapitated heads and all sorts of stuff in the, what do they call it? Some corridor.
Yep. In the
no, it's where all the
in the Netzarim corridor. All right.
That's it. Yeah, where they were having barbecues and free lattes.
Okay, this is
right next to piles of Palestinian bodies.
Again, a long article about how they knew and what the plan was to gas the tunnels.
Mm.
All right. I had an issue with how some people were willing to do absolutely anything to achieve that objective. The number of civilians they were willing to kill, the way they saw it, everything was just an obstacle in their way, even the hostages. Yeah.
Yeah. That is correct.
If they don't know where the hostages are and still bomb
I'm surprised
tunnels,
they didn't just...
It's a policy, yep.
Start using Zyklon B instead of carbon dioxide. Just go full bore.
Again, I'm not reading through this whole thing, obviously. There's another one. The bodies of their, what does that say? Palestinians wait to receive the bodies of their relatives killed in an Israeli airstrike at Al-Najjar. And this was December 7th, 2023. I think Rafat might be in there.
Yeah.
I think Rafat
Possible.
Al-Arir might be in there. Oh, man. Okay, so that was part 1 of Fuck Israel. Read this. I'll put this in the description afterwards. Part 2, we knew it all along, and you guys have been covering it on INN News, but we finally got admission from Yoav Gallant that, yes, Israeli forces they used attack helicopters, drones, and tanks to kill their own civilians and soldiers while blaming the deaths on Hamas on October 7th. You didn't think those cars were all shot up by rocket fire, did you?
Mm-hmm.
No, that cannot be done. Hamas does not have enough rockets to do that to every car in the area. Sorry. That's done by tank fire and Apache helicopter.
Funny enough, those Apache helicopters ran out of ammunition that day and went to go re-up. So,
gross.
A lot of rockets.
Right? So, if the post includes a screenshot of an article but not a link, don't accept at face value. Correct. However, this is from the Cradle. You can find this. And Amazon Piss Jugs, Jeremy Ward, good friend of the show. He's actually on our Wall of Fame. Good peeps. He doesn't screw around with that. He'll put the link. All right. And
I'm sure
why
someone
did he
already
put the
did.
link? Probably because of, my guess would be because it pushes the post down and it got 1,000 views and it won't go anywhere if you put a link anywhere. So, So what happened here? Let's see. Again, Haaretz, and like our friend Abu Bakr said, take what they say with a grain of salt at Haaretz as well as at 972, because they still do represent Israel and Zionists, and they still have to adhere to the rules of what the Zionists and the Israelis require, and they don't have a free press there. They claim it. No, not really. So, again, July 7th, 2024, IDF ordered Hannibal Directive on October 7th, and that was Haaretz then. Just reminding people that we've known this for months and months, all right, and that the Hannibal Directive was issued tactically and in various places next to Gaza, Gallant told Channel 12 on Thursday. In other places, it was not given, and that is a problem. All right? Questioning Gallant, the Hannibal Directive says to shoot to kill when there's a vehicle containing an Israeli hostage, a characterization he did not contest. This is his first interview since he was fired in November and had a spat with his girlfriend, Bibi, because they're all bitches. Now, Brad Pierce, our friend, the Wayward Rabbler, wrote about this at the Libertarian Institute way back when and put a fair amount of effort into finding Western media references. Indeed, total blackout on that. All right. And I believe I actually have the video. No, I don't have the video, but I do have somebody pointing out under Jeremy's post that Max actually and the Gray Zone had this right about shelling Israeli citizens with tanks back in October of 2023. Shout out to the Gray Zone on this one. October 27th. And they got crushed in corporate media for this and called every name in the book from October 7th, rape and genocide denialists, or Holocaust denialists and self-hating Jews. But they had the story then, all right, that Tuval Escapa set up a hotline to coordinate between kibbutz residents and the Israeli army. He told Haaretz that as desperation began to set in, the commanders in the field made difficult decisions, including shelling houses on their occupants in order to eliminate the terrorists along with the hostages. We knew it then. They were ordered to do that. It was called the Hannibal Directive.
Yeah.
And Israel spent 15 months denying it. That's the fact, Jack. All right. And again, as David Shane and Ali Abu Nima reported in EI, Porat described very, very heavy crossfire and Israeli tank shelling, which led to many casualties among Israelis.
Yeah.
And that Hamas did not abuse us. We were treated very humanely. No one treated us violently. Now, the thing that I really wanted to also talk about was that I checked in on my own personal Facebook account where I still have friends in my old life that are Zionists and Israel lovers and supporters, and I don't engage with them, but I don't unfriend them or anything because I'm barely there. And plus, it's always good to check in and see what people are saying on the other side. And they were crying this week about three Israeli hostages that came back emaciated and weakened and very thin. And they were saying, oh, the barbarity of this. And it's like, you know what? That's what Israel did to every single person in Gaza. There's a total disconnect to what they did, why they looked like that now after all that time, and that their captors around them also look that kind of thin. And then
that kind of emaciated, right?
Right.
On top of, there's actual footage of hostages, of the recent hostages that got released, saying they ate what we ate. Like, we were offered the best treatment. So I bet you if you ask those individuals, they'd be like, no, they gave us what they had,
And all the women said that,
there's a reason that they don't have much.
The women said that they made sure that they were covered up and that they, that they had hijabs and they treated them with respect and that they realized it wasn't about them. Now, what I wanted to do was I brought up last night, I was talking about this. I said, holy shit, the Zionist gaslighting. They're crying that the hostages were returned thinner and Hamas starved the hostages. Are you fucking kidding me? As if Israel wasn't starving the entire Gaza Strip with blocking the aid trucks. Maybe their hostages would have been better nourished. Wow. It makes me cry that the normies I know in my life are brainwashed about this shit, and more than one. Glad I check in on that side of Facebook only about once a week. Yoink, Scoob. The propaganda is thick, and they don't see any media not directly approved and guided by Israel, the ADL, and the lobby. They don't even know about, the Palestinians being held captive without trial right now. And if they were told, they'd be like, nah, okay, just give us our hostages back. It's a cycle of brainwashing. I said, nor do they question anything they're seeing because it just reinforces the biases that have been drilled into them since birth. That's really hard to overcome.
Yep.
Right? I said, you don't understand how they can go out of their way to make sure that they can't possibly see it at all. One iota of anything that would make them uncomfortable or question their world belief or their view that Israel is the end all be all and only doing the right thing all the time. To the point that they don't even understand why everyone else is so upset and they feel betrayed by America. I said, it's
and they
insane.
take it personally and it attaches to their victimization.
It's insane, but think of it as living in a bubble where the entire thing is turned around and twisted and they're 100% bought into that victimhood that we see for the manipulation it is, but they can't. And they have no idea that they're being lied to. Cult behavior. I equate it very much to Scientology in a way. Like, they're bought in on Scientology. Right?
Never let anyone take your joy from you.
And then we have one of these op accounts. I'm not really sure about this account, so I'm not going to share it, but they put out a video showing...
Definitely not as suppressed as they would make it seem.
We're reminding people that that the Israelis were blocking aid trucks and taking the goods off the trucks to destroy any produce or any type of fresh goods. They were trying to block anesthesia and penicillin and basic medication and supplies from getting in. And that whole thing just disgusts me. The gaslighting and the fact that so many in in this country
Disgusting!
don't want to pay attention to what's actually happening because it would hurt their view about what they've been told Israel is their whole life. And if now the thing is, what happens if that's not the case? Nothing in your life changes, guys. Nothing in your life changes.
Look at the gaslight.
All right. Now, they believe that, well, because the Jews then don't have a homeland, that there's nowhere safe for a Jew to live. Well, if you're not fucking around, anywhere you live is safe for a Jew to live, from my understanding, as long as you're not in a hardcore Wahhabist Muslim country that has spent the last 75 years fighting Israel and the Zionists that have been spending 75 years conflating Zionism and Judaism. It's very confusing, very convoluted, and it's something that is making me, as an American Jew who is against all this shit, less safe on a daily basis and embarrassed to be affiliated with in any way, shape, or form. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. Like, it's affiliated with me, whether I like it or not. I mean, I can claim that I'm Italian, but nobody believes me.
Close enough.
Well, some people do, and I've got friends that they call themselves pizza bagels. But certainly saying fuck Israel is not going to get us monetized by YouTube. So if you are able to, in any way, please share the stream, first of all. Take care of your friends, take care of your family, as Care Bear likes to say. But if you're able to, and you've got a few bucks, Cash App, $ Indie News Network is the easiest, best way to do that without fees. ko-fi.com/Indie News Network or paypal.me/Indie News Network eliminates the Ko-fi fee. And then Substack, that's our
shout
newsletter.
out Care Bear, who gave us $5 earlier.
Hey, yeah, no, thank you, Care Bear.
Appreciate you, fam.
Hell yeah, brother. I don't know if he put a message in there with that. I did see that come through.
I think he said, "Who are these people?"
Ah, well,
Thank you.
that's sweet. That's nice. I had one other story. Perfect. So we're running up against it here. Because we had the crash. Solari report. This is Catherine Austin Fitz. Catherine Austin Fitz is one of the smarter people out there when it comes to analysis. She's also a pretty big financial mind, friendly with Whitney Webb, and member of the Independent Media Alliance. Put out an article this week that I know Ryan Christian at The Last American Vagabond also read. And it's titled "The Trump Administration Digital Control Grid Coming Together at High Speed." And she's trying to warn us of this digital panopticon that Whitney and Ryan and Derek Bros have been warning us about for years. She says, now that the Trump admin has been in charge of the U.S. executive branch for 2 weeks, here's what appears to be underway. Despite the chaotic appearance, the plan being implemented is highly strategic and has been in the planning stages for quite a while. Looking through the fog of omni-war, here is what the high-speed building of the control grid looks like so far. And she tackles this from a bunch of different angles. Let me see if I make this a little smaller. Yes. See, one of the cool things about Substack is they give you this little table of contents. So this tells you kind of section by section what to expect. You
Coming to a Substack newsletter
feedback
near you.
The Real ID, all right, being supported with a strong push through the states. That's our digital ID thing. All right. The immigration effort also appears to be supporting a combination of digital IDs plus biometrics, also frightening. Right. Then you've got this Stargate stuff. The Stargate initiative involves the building out of data centers sufficient to support
a ring under NORAD.
Right, a complete control grid and all digital monetary system, because certainly our electrical grid can't handle all of this right now. And
no,
let alone the amount of data that we can process and store. So Stargate mRNA injections, that's frightening. The proposal for personalized mRNA vaccines for cancer and everything else. Thank you, Larry Ellison.
Safe and effective.
Right, yeah.
Very
Indicates
safe.
a plan to roll out the injection program sufficient to implement the Internet of Bodies and continue to lower life expectancy, allegedly. Stargate funding also helps support the ongoing global rollout of mega vaccine factories. I'm not sure how Musk's desire to add mesh networks to our heads fits in, as I suspect they think injections can get them most, if not all of the way, and it is much easier to market injections that are good for you, quote unquote. Safe and effective.
Yes.
Right?
Very safe.
Switching fiscal control to the central bankers, which is what she says here, the Doge takeover of the Treasury payment systems, that's what we're going to talk about next, combined with the purge of the civil service, is designed to end congressional control of fiscal flows and policies. That's bad. This leaves the New York Fed and global central bankers in complete control of the fiscal line. As a practical matter, Musk and his team, whatever private companies and foreign governments are now sharing those data, have replaced the executive branch in Congress in terms of control and operation on the fiscal side of government. They've now put a firewall and a layer between that. So Musk is operating as the titular Doge in the Venetian sense. All right. As Steve Bannon rightly points out, Musk and the Silicon Valley crew could not care less about the American people. We might as well start calling Musk President Musk. Again, Catherine Austin Fitz is calling this out even.
Yeah, which to me, this is like pandering to libertarians who think less government good, right? Meanwhile, you know, they're axing all these organizations like USAID, like whatever, when really they're consolidating that power, you know, and either making it more covert.
Right.
Yeah.
Bring it under state.
You know, even so much so as they're trying to bring Ron Paul in to like audit the Fed, which we already know he's controlled enough that that's actually not going to be what you want. You know,
right?
No offense, any Ron Paul likers, but you know, and then it'll be just, oh well, we audited the Fed, it's fine now. You know, so you know, meanwhile, the Pentagon will go unscathed.
Right. The social credit system, of course, he's looking like the Doge takeover of systems.
Yeah.
He's setting up the infrastructure to start a social credit system using federal payments. Hate crime accusations and entrapments are designed to assist here, meaning Beitar USA's, the people they accuse, for example, pro-Palestine organizations could end up, you know, devalued in this social credit system.
We chatted out of existence.
All right. Then, of course, as our friend, shout out to Golden Monarch in the chat, I saw him out there, crypto push. The testing of an all-digital transaction system continues using private crypto while a regulatory framework for crypto is being put in place, and stablecoins are being used to significantly improve the dollar's ability to dollarize the emerging markets. Like
Have
using
a good
Tether.
Time with your Bitcoin,
And
your
Tether.
crypto, and everything else that you're playing with.
Tether, yes, like Tether. Any country with a weak currency that finds itself up against a strong dollar will find its citizens recruited into the dollar through stable coins accessed through their mobile phones and related payment apps. And allegedly, a lot of the Palestinians were being funded through Tether.
Yup. That is correct.
Interesting that Cantor Fitzgerald is funding that and footing that. Of course,
no one is above the law.
Talking about the land grab, one of the big goals is to use Bitcoin, which is a Ponzi scheme, and I'm so glad she sees that, to swap for real assets. $500 billion of land and minerals, as Howard Lutnick puts it. Howard Lutnick is a very scary individual. Chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald, head of Tether, just gave $775 million to Rumble. By the way, shout out to Rumble. Hi, Rumble. We're on there. If mandated, government purchases could run up the price of Bitcoin then the 2% who own 70% of Bitcoin can swap their Bitcoin for land on a secret tax-free basis. They can achieve MBT, the real core of MAGA, make billionaires trillionaires. In addition, this will achieve the shutting down of federal cash flows and credit to average people, dramatically lowering the economic footprint of the average American, as, again, they're trying to do. Climate change wasn't working, but plunder will. The land grab play can be done through Lutnick.
As
and
a wise man once said.
That's it. All right. The land grab play can be done through Lutnick and the sovereign wealth funds, as well as Treasury through a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Shout out again to Golden Monarch talking about that with Senator Cynthia Lummis back in August, that they were pushing to try to get a strategic Bitcoin reserve through if and when Trump got elected. But that's bipartisan. They also bought off a bunch of Democratic senators and lawmakers to make that happen. Of course, included is the Gaza genocide, because to build part of the control grid, they need to move the Palestinians out to Jordan and Egypt or continue to genocide them. It seems that there's a bit of stall on who will take responsibility to get that done. Either way, it appears they believe they need Gaza's land, water, oil, and gas to complete the control grid, so the Palestinians need to go, as Trump clearly stated.
Yep.
Right. The picture is still somewhat unclear about how this will happen and how they'll finish clearing out Ukraine. But BlackRock will end up with the rebuild, you can guarantee. All right.
Mm-hmm.
From a marketing...
The temple of acquisition is great as eternal.
True. Quark was just so far ahead of his time. A wide variety of ridiculous cultural and unethical medical schemes have built up hatred to a fever pitch. 70-plus genders, transgendering kids, late-term abortions, which don't really exist, money laundered to NGOs, that definitely does, destruction of women's sports, to name but a handful. But doing lots of damage, different actions to cancel all these things is so delighting Trump supporters that they've failed to notice the shredding of the Constitution and the illegal coup. This combined with crypto... This is combined with crypto speculative profits and massive entertainment or entrainment pumping through TV and the internet, likely through porn, gaming, and crypto sites, as well as TV sports, to further support the coup and inspire the crowd to despise and or ignore any liberal or person who tries to warn that Doge's access to and use of Treasury's payment systems and other actions underway are massive violations of the Constitution and laws. Basically, they wanted to own the libs.
But they're going to get rid of the woke mind virus.
All you have to do is shadow ban and deride anyone who suggests the proper response is to enforce the law. Well, we don't like cops and people who enforce the law for the most part, but in this case, that's why we set up the laws. The marketing pitch is that past lawlessness justifies current lawlessness. Canceling out all sorts of heinous, ridiculous, and wasteful expenditures helps promote this. There's little understanding that where cancellation is done illegally, the courts will often reverse it, and the costs will often be more than the savings, and the dislocation and disruption that happens in the process, where we ended up back where we started to begin with. Why? Just to disrupt it.
Yeah.
This is what happened to the neocons during Bush 1. It's a classic neocon strategy. As the general counsel at HUD, who was later governor of Oklahoma and the executive director of the American Bankers Association, nice guy, once said while it was pointed out that it was illegal to abrogate a binding contract with a private enterprise, fuck them. By the time they win in court, we'll be gone. If you know what you're doing, you can cancel all this stuff relatively quickly on a legal basis, but it doesn't look like that's happening. As she says, The freedom fighting community is betting big on Booby, RFK Jr., and Tulsi controlled up.
Bad ever happens to the Kennedys.
And Tulsi controlled up PSYOP warrior Gabbard going into the administration, not understanding that they're full-on supportive of the land grab and Gaza genocide, which are the big plays. There's Zionists. Yep. The administration has done a great job of furthering those two picks while muzzling the freedom-fighting community that's hoping to make progress on health, food, and other selected issues. The control grid and land grab will override any progress made on those fronts unless it is stopped, which it still can be. I'm not really sure how, but okay. She also talks about weather warfare, and this is one of the plunderer's aces in the hole. That weather warfare will continue to support the land grab on an ongoing basis and comes with the ability to manipulate the media, old and new, to suppress the death counts. The takeover of TikTok was necessary for this purpose. Weather warfare also
on top of things like making it so that citizen journalists can't storm chase and all that kind of stuff goes along with that.
Well, yeah, but also North Carolina, when they use weather manipulation potentially to flood an area that's rich in quartz, and they need that quartz and they want that area and they don't want to pay anybody to clear it out. Well, maybe they just flooded out, record.
Jewish space laser?
Something like that. Speculation, allegedly.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that she's saying this is a coup. All right. Last June, she said on Money and Markets that the leaders of the push for a totalitarian control model and the central bankers had decided to back Trump because he could deliver the conservatives into the model. What's happening now has been in the planning at least since then. Trump and Musk are simply kabuki theater. What I underestimated was the speed at which they would proceed with a full-on coup. However, given that the Defense Department and intelligence agency clouds have all been digitized and put in the hands of Silicon Valley, specifically Palantir, Alex Karp, Joe Lonsdale, and Peter Thiel, and intelligence agency clouds have been a complete re-engineering of the U.S. government through the digital systems is now possible at high speed. Well, one big question is how much they will cut off the federal flows. The more federal payments you cut, the faster you can do the land grab, cheaper the price, and the faster you can force everyone onto an all-digital monetary system. However, if you can mandate government purchases of Bitcoin, you can run the price high and keep your supporters drunk with speculative profits while you put everything else in place. One of the reasons why you've seen Bitcoin run up over 100,000 a coin. The first trial balloon she heard on using Bitcoin for the land grab, a proposal to shut down all federal flows overnight, was back in 2017, and it amounted to full-on shock doctrine. We've heard that before. Solari's deep dive report for the third quarter 2024 wrap-up is on Plunder and goes through case studies of how this has been done globally. So what Catherine's trying to do is understand what's happening and how do we capitalism our way through it and profit our way through it. The folks who have done this in Russia, in Eastern Europe, in Latin America, have sometimes said that after they finished with the world, they would do North America. This is a coup.
Yeah.
The goal is to destroy the Constitution once and for all. If they succeed, the central bankers will have complete control, as Bank for International Settlements General Manager Augustin Carstens has openly described. Notice that the New York Fed continues to run the debt and make sure the payments flow, and that the markets have not reacted in any dramatic way. That's because the smart money is comfortable with what's happening, and in fact, has generally anticipated what's happening. The U.S. executive branch does not run the dollar system, and they can only do what they do if the central bankers continue to allow the payments to flow in and out. As Catherine says, my recommendation to all of us is to bring as much transparency to this as quickly as possible and implement whatever is possible in your state to protect the Constitution and individual sovereignty. Do everything possible to protect the analog systems and cash and checks. See what the states can do. And from now on, as one brilliant ally suggests, I'm only going to refer to Musk as President Musk to help the MAGA team understand what's really happening. The reason why she keeps saying that is because he's looking to use the Treasury payment system specifically to steer stuff towards himself, towards people that work with him, to eliminate the payments toward the people that aren't friendly toward his companies as a punishment, but also to set the stage for him owning the payment system over the United States, which is what he's always wanted to do. PayPal, WeChat, WePay. All right. If the current effort is successful, our children and grandchildren will never know the blessings we've known. Human civilization can stop, but only if we let it. Keep freedom in your prayers and remind yourself that the bigger breakdown, the bigger breakthrough, may this year be endowed by grace and miraculous shifts that divine intelligence can bring. She's a smart lady, and she's trying to analyze it from a business perspective. Where's the money going? Where's the money pointing towards? Where does the money think this is heading? And how do we prepare accordingly going forward?
I know how we prepare. You know?
GUILLOTINE.
That's a good start. Now,
it is.
I like this guy, Jeremy Nye. What he's talking about here at American Inequality is how the systematic deletion of government data is another threat to democracy. So like Catherine Austin Fitz is saying, we've already had a coup d'etat over all of our data. All right. He's freaking out here about the CDC.gov website going down. All right. At 5 p.m. on Friday, the 31st of January, more than 8,000 government websites that host public data shut down. That's bad. One of the most important ones of these was CDC's data, the most important website in America for health data. All right. On Wednesday night, on the Wednesday right before, the OPM sent an email to agency heads to strip gender ideology from websites, contracts, and emails. This was guidance that OPM was implementing based on President Trump's executive order defending women from gender ideology extremism. As the AP reported, quote, it also directed agencies to disband gender section thing. All right, someone looked at the CDC website now. They would effectively have no idea that long COVID was ever. See, nearly all of their data includes information on gender, death records, drug use, bullying, preventing chronic disease, everything. Or the use of the phrase pregnant people could have contributed to its removal. At 5:01 on Friday, the most important government website for data, census.gov, went dark. Links to U.S. Census data sent users to the message an error occurred while processing this directive. Overall, more than 3,000 census.gov pages have been removed. The most pernicious are the 200 pages from the federal Head Start program that have disappeared. Make things right going forward. There are short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions that we can focus on. So it's not just woe is me. What can we do? All right, which is, first of all, get whatever backups we can get our hands on, alternative data reporting methods in the medium term, and long term, we have to look at legislative or judicial challenges. But we've got to figure out a way to get the reporting back. Frightening. Now, these are the people that would help us get our reporting back if we ever got shut down. These are the amazing people that are on our wall of fame that support our channel, our network, and what we do here. They fund the media they want to see.
Show me the money!
So, hi everybody. It's been a heck of a night. Buffering. We're buffering. No, not me.
It's fine. They fixed it. Good. They said reload and it works.
Good. Yeah, refresh. Yep. All right. We're gonna do boats. We're gonna do boats.
Inconceivable.
We're gonna do boats. I have a few more things I want to get to, and I want to get to Richard Medhurst because we've been talking about Richard for a while, and I wanted to get to that, even though it's kind of the end. But here, check this out. First of all, Craig Murray. I did not see anybody else report on this anywhere, but 4 UN special rapporteurs have written jointly to the UK government demanding explanation for its inappropriate persecution of journalists and political activists under Section 12 of their Terrorism Act. All right, talking about Kate Clarenberg, Craig Murray, Richard Medhurst, Johanna Ross Ganyakova, John Laughlin, Richard Barnard, and of course, Richard Medhurst. All right, so check that out. That will be in the description. But this is, so Richard Medhurst is a British journalist who also lives in Vienna. I believe he was in Vienna for some event. And so he put out a video the other day, 6.5 minutes, and I'll play this and we'll talk about it afterwards real quick.
My name is Richard Medhurst. I'm an internationally accredited journalist from the UK. On Monday, agents from the Austrian police and intelligence services detained me, raided my home, raided my studio, and then interrogated me. They essentially lured me into a trap. So I received a letter from the government last week from immigration, summoning me for some interview at my residency. I found that a bit odd because I've lived here for a while. I never had any problems. So having nothing to fear, I went to the meeting by myself, and then after a few simple questions, they suddenly issued a thinly veiled threat saying they were considering revoking my residency because of my alleged reporting on Palestine and Lebanon. So of course my answer was no comment. And as soon as I thought everything was over, I was ambushed by a group of plainclothes agents. They entered the room flashing their badges in my face, and they said that they were the Austrian equivalent of MI5 or the FBI. They detained me, and then they served me with a warrant from the state prosecutor to search my home, search my studio, take all of my devices. Why? Because they think that I, a Christian Englishman, am a member of Hamas. Yes, you heard that correctly. They are accusing me of being a member of Hamas, of being part of the Izz al-Din Qassam brigades, of disseminating propaganda, encouraging terrorism, being affiliated with organized crime and a terrorist group. I mean, it's like reading something out of the Twilight Zone. So they seized my phone, and they drove me to my residence, ransacked the place. They even took devices which I repeatedly told them do not belong to me. Then they drove me to my studio and turned the place upside down. So I had to watch my devices being disassembled before my very eyes by a group of strangers. All these tools that I spent years building and investing in, the core of my journalistic profession. They took, in total, they took like 5-6 different laptops and computers, phones, USB sticks, hard drives, DVDs, you name it. And although the warrant was for electronic devices only, for some reason, they took photos of my residence, photos of the office, of the bathroom. They helped themselves to anything they saw, books, papers, documents, cupboards, closets. To tell you the truth, though, the agents treated me kindly and with respect. They didn't deny me any of my basic needs. Now, as you recall, I was unjustly arrested a few months ago in London. They jailed me for almost 24 hours under the Terrorism Act. Strangely enough, last week, the police in England again extended this investigation, and then suddenly this happens in Vienna. I don't think that is mere coincidence, okay? The first thing I asked the Austrian agents was, did my government put you up to this? And they replied, no, Britain doesn't talk to us. Well, forgive me, but I find that a bit hard to believe. I do think that this persecution, this raid, is related to the case in Britain. I think it's being coordinated with Britain. Now, my colleague Stefania Marizzi, who works on the Snowden papers with Glenn Greenwald, she reported last month in Il Fatto Quotidiano that the British police seized a Graphene OS device from me and that it was very unlikely that they'd be able to crack it. So I suppose that's why Britain asked the Austrians to raid me, grab anything they could find, and go on this massive fishing expedition. The warrant even mentions my arrest in London to try and bolster their case. The Austrian agents, they asked me for the passwords to my devices, and I said no, because as a journalist, I have an ethical, a professional obligation to protect my sources. None of them were compromised. During the raid, I spoke briefly with the techs who were extracting my devices, from one nerd to another. And they told me that if they can't crack the devices, they send them outside sometimes to other countries, to other law enforcement agencies, and ask them for help. So that further indicated to me that this could very well be related to what's happening in the UK against me. Now, all these devices are work devices. They're my journalistic tools. I have been left with literally nothing. I mean, just to film this was a struggle. Okay, believe me. No phone, no computer, no SD cards, nothing. They cut me off from my work, from my contacts, from my family, from my friends. And the next day they dropped by and give me a list of all the things they seized. It was 19 pages long. As a matter of fact, I've spent the last months writing a book on cybersecurity, as I'm unable to report and work normally under these circumstances. And they even confiscated my book. The book that I've been working on for 2 years now. I just riffled through the manuscripts and the notes like it was nothing. So after watching all of my gear being dismantled, I was then ordered under this warrant to participate in an interrogation. So these agents, they took me down with them to the station, and I said 2 words: no comment. And that was it. Then they fingerprinted me, they palm printed me, they took mugshots and my DNA. And after 6-7 hours of this, I was finally allowed to leave. I categorically deny all of these accusations by the British and Austrian governments. I'm not a terrorist, I am a journalist, and they bloody well know it. Some of these Austrian accusations are very similar to the British ones, which again tells me that this is somehow coordinated. But it's actually a massive escalation. They are accusing me of being a member of a proscribed organization. I mean, this is insanity on another level. This is detached from reality. And they're trying to make a snowball out of nothing. So now, because of my reporting, I'm under investigation for quote-unquote terrorism in 2 countries. I could face up to 14 years in prison in the UK, plus another 2 to 5 years if I don't give them the passwords to my phones, and maybe another 10 years in prison in Austria, and my residency potentially being revoked. And why? For what? For journalism. Because of my reporting. I mean, this is insane. This is disproportionate state violence. And it's not just an attack on me. This is an attack on the entire profession, on freedom of speech, on democracy itself. They are denying me my human right to free speech. I'm being punished and persecuted in my country of origin in the UK and in my country of residence in Austria. I come from a family that worked to establish peace around the world, a family that raised me to stand against terrorism and injustice. Please help raise awareness. This is not just an affront on me, but on all of us. Inform your friends, inform your family, your colleagues, write to your representatives in Parliament. And again, I want to stress how the police, they came in here in this room. They seized all my equipment, all of my gear. They left me with nothing. If you're able to, please consider contributing on GoFundMe and PayPal so that I can get back up and running. The links are down below. It would really make a difference and go a long way. Thank you so much.
Oh, man. Okay. So, as you see scrolling along that ticker right there, journalism is not a crime. As he says right there, journalism is not a crime. As I said right underneath, journalism is not a crime, standing alongside you as I have from day one. Richard's one of the people, and the one thing that Richard didn't mention, which is funny, is he thinks this is being done by his country and by England, but we know that there is actually somebody orchestrating this above all of that. And it's not the United States either. And no, not over here. It's Israel. This is being done by Israel because he is one of the strongest, most outspoken voices against Israeli war crimes. Passionate, angry, and just in so many ways. All right? And they don't have an answer for this. They don't know what to do. So their only answer is shut it down. All right? Dissident wrote an article about this today about the global lawfare campaign against pro-Palestine reporters continues. All right. And this is because not just of his journalism, but who he is reporting about and the war crimes that they're reporting about.
You got no friends in Washington, D.C.
Now, Kevin Gostola, another Indie Media Award honoree, as Richard, of course, is. All Richard Medhurst is guilty of is journalism. Hear him recount this major escalation in a widespread crackdown on freedom of expression in the Western world, particularly against those who speak up for Palestinians. And that is why he is being persecuted. This is why they're coming after you still, because you've been calling them out on their bullshit the past 5 years, and it's embarrassing. You've done it within their ecosystem using their tools, and that's what makes them maddest. So they try to silence you because nothing else works. All right? Don't forget that he was also one of the most outspoken journalists who followed Julian Assange's trial closer than just about anybody else. Is this retaliation still for that? Sure. Doesn't hurt. I also wanted to call attention and give a shout out to the amazing Polly St. George, Fringe Views on Twitter. She recorded a video very raw the other day. She's like, I'm just trying to figure out the tech and figure this out. It's up on Odyssey. It's up on BitChute. She's calling out what a problem Rumble is and why they are part of this new narrative network. I actually had it up on here, but she put up a chart. This chart, lays out across that network using Rumble, Locals, Twitter, the Trump Media Group, and the Tucker Carlson Network. Here are the personalities. Here are the cross platforms that are being used to promote. Who are the investors and who are the now alt media executives that, oh, wow, they just happen to now be part of the federal government. Watch this half hour. It's
the
worth
mainstream alternative media.
The memes.
And a bunch of people have been calling that out.
Yep. Well, she's been calling it out for a long time. This chart's been around for over a year, and she was one of the first people I saw putting all this stuff together alongside Whitney and others. All right. So go check that out. I also wanted to call attention to the fact that we wrote an article, Reef and I. You know, I'd seen all of these, especially with the Kennedy confirmation hearing for his Health and Human Services Secretary job. All these Kennedy defenders that had disappeared into the woodwork months ago when he gave up his campaign and decided to endorse Trump in exchange for we didn't know what. All of a sudden, they came back out of the woodwork. So I decided to, along with Reef's help, put together a list of a whole bunch of reasons why, no matter what you feel about his stance on vaccines or personal health or anything having to do with healthcare, this man has had so many personal problems around him, and he has fucked over so many people around him that I don't trust him to be anywhere in any position of power, let alone in charge of the nation's healthcare. All right. So we chart out a list of 15 plus examples of corruption, family weird stuff having to do with exotic animals. What the fuck is that? I don't want HHS secretaries having weird exotic animal stuff. All right. Any of these red flags listed by themselves.
What's his name? No, I can't remember. Not
Steve
Carol
Irwin?
Baskins, but the other guy.
Irwin? Oh.
No, the other Tiger King, man.
Oh, I don't remember his name. But I said, like, first of all, I'm not even mentioning the V word, because I don't want to get his supporters wetting their pants that this is a shit lib thing that's attacking whatever his stance is there, because he has so many red flags that you shouldn't even get to that position before you decide that he's too corrupt to be anywhere near it or support. I don't get it. I really don't. Maybe somebody can try to lay it out for me at some point. But the fact that this guy sold a VP seat for $12.5 million. And again, there are 18 examples. Yeah. Mostly that if his name was Robert Johnson and not Robert F. Kennedy, there's no way this guy would be in contention for anything. But because of who he is and what he sat around and who he's connected to, that's why he might even be in contention to get this job or any other. And by the way, even if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. They're going to put whoever they want in place anyway. They've got a backup already ready, sitting in the wings in case he doesn't. And they kind of, I think, hope that he doesn't get confirmed so they can turn around and say, sorry, Bobby, we tried. Thanks for the endorsement. Everybody wins. I think the same thing about Kash Patel, and I think the same thing about Tulsi. I don't think they care if any one of those three gets in or not, because it's not going to affect their agenda one way or another. And in a way, it's a smokescreen, and they hope that it's a distraction for as long as possible. All right. We're getting ready to go to boats. It's
which we got some more stuff that we could have added right after this. Right after we put that out, there was like 4 people who were like, this, and this.
Oh, yeah.
This, and also on his vaccine stance, here's this.
And the law firm of Morgan & Morgan that he's involved with. Also bad shit. Just, yeah.
Yep.
So, like I said, we're going to go to boats smashing into other boats. Oh, what? That is the link. I don't know why it's showing that, but there it is. Boats. So we're going to go to boats next. That's going to be here on the Ocho, as well as on our Rumble channel, Kick, and everywhere else. Boat smashing into other boats. That's our React show. Go check that out. We're going to take a 5-minute break in between, potty break, and then we'll be back, and we'll do that for about an hour or so. I know this ran a little long. Thank you for bearing with us during the crash, and I love you all. Shout out to everyone out there in chat. Golden Monarch, Sean Miller, Popeye the Sailor, Scroogle. I saw a bunch of people who are good friends and fans out there. I don't know who this gay fish is, but that's not so great. Well, hey,
Kanye West, right?
It might be. All right. All right, let's do this. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. And I'll see you in boats soon.
Yep. Keep listening to what boats have to tell you, fam. Good night.
Mwah. Ciao, baby.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say?
You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen? To 50,000 died, and now we know our mission. We form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen.
What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.